All right, Shalom. This is Har one by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. When I say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Harakak Kodash, Ma'amath, double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, Nagwatim, and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. I wanted to go through this quick lesson dealing with Tobit, all right, the book of Tobit. It's a lesson on my plate that I got to do. And hopefully it'll be edifying to the hopeful elect, you know. And there'd be some extra notes you can add to your book, and might fill in some spaces or some voids that any Akim or Akwatim, sisters may have in their notes. All right, so it's basically dealing with the fall of the Northern Kingdom. All right, and the setting is based around 722 BC. All right, ultimately all the way until 720 when we were exiled and deported. So I'm going to get into it, and it's talking about Tobit, who was of the tribe of Naphtali, and those are the Argentinians and the Chileans. All right, and and there's many other Naphtalians that scattered amongst the nations. All right, and Tobit, his son, I think it's Tobias, actually met an angel named Raphael. So before I get into all of that, I want to read this story about the fall of the Northern Kingdom of Israel around 722 BC. All right, when we were exiled and taken to the country of Nineveh. All right, and Nineveh fell around 612 BC. It was called the fall of Nineveh, and it was the establishment of the Babylonian Empire. All right, with Nebuchadnezzar, which is the father of Nebuchadnezzar. All right, around 627 BC, and they took down Nineveh in 612 BC. All right, and this whole focus is to connect some dots for any sincere people out there. All right, so let's get into it. This is the book of Tobit, chapter 1, verse 1. The book of Tobit, the words of Tobit. All right, now the word Tobit means God is good. Okay, I think it'll be Tawab. I don't know how to say the rest of it. I can look up the letters if I need to. But I'm sure it will be Tawab. All right. That means God. It's supposed to mean God is good. So now let's keep going. We'll go with the chapter. Tobit, chapter 1. The book of the words of Tobit, the son of Tobiah, the son of Ananiel, the son of Aduel, and the son of Gabael. All right. All right. So yeah, I want to pull up the Hebrew. It's Tawabia. All right. Tawabia. All right. Which means God is good. All right. Tawabia with a Y-A-H at the end. Okay. Now in the Greek it's Tobit. All right. So that's Greek. All right. And so now let's keep going. Verse 2. I'm going to start from 1 again just to get some clarity. The book of the words of Tobit, son of Tobiah, the son of Ananiel, the son of Aduel, the son of Gabael, of the seed of Asael, of the tribe of Naphtali, all right, which are Argentinians, the Chileans, all right, over there in South America, which would be of the Northern Kingdom. Now you have, it says here, who in the time of Enemesser, king of the Assyrians, all right, was led away captive out of Thisbe, which is at the right hand of that city, which is called properly Naphtali in Galilee, above Aser. Now, if you look up Thisbe, it was also called Tishbe, which would be Tishbites. All right. Now, let me get this. All right, First Kings 17 and 1. It says, and Elijah the Tishbite, all right, because Tishbite is a land over there right below Gilead and right next to Galilee, all right. There was a place called Tishbe, but in the Greek they called it Thisbe, all right. So the Tishbites. It says, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, okay. There's a lot of Benjamites and them stayed up there. Said unto Ahab, as Yahweh, the power of Israel, liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. And the word of Yahweh came unto him, saying, go hence and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. All right, so that's where Elijah was at. He lived over there. He had a wife over there in that area, okay, called Tishbe. All right, now it says this, verse 2, who in the time of Enemeser, king of the Assyrians, all right, was led captive out of Tishbe, which would be the Tishbites, right? But that guy Enemeser, you can write this down as Salmanassar the fifth. All right, that was Salmanassar the fifth. That's who that was. But they called him Enemeser, all right, king of the Assyrians. But that was Salmanassar the fifth, and he ruled from 727 to about 722 or about 722 BC. All right, Salmanassar the fifth. So 727 to about 722, and he laid siege on Israel, starting from 724, really from about 725, to about 722. All right, and he died in the midst of the battle. And in 723, Hosea, okay, the king of the northern tribes of Israel, he was wicked, and he was taken captive by Shalmaneser. Now let's get into the story. All right, this guy Enemeser, but his name was really Shalmaneser the fifth. All right, son of Tiglath-Pileser the third, who in the time of Enemeser, king of the Assyrians, was led captive out of Thisbe, which is at the right hand of that city, which is called properly Naphtali in Galilee, above Asser. All right. I, Tobit, have walked all the days of my life in the ways of truth and justice, and I did many alms deeds to many brethren in my nation who came with me to Nineveh and to the land of the Assyrians. All right, so he was taken captive into the land of the Assyrians. All right, and this book was translated and written around 175 BC, around the time of Josephus. All right, they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now it says this. So it says what? And my nation whom came with me to Nineveh into the land of the Assyrians. All right. So when did that happen? Let's get that story real quick. All right. There's a time when Ezra, the prophet Ezra, he saw a vision of the elect coming back together and being delivered. All right. Now he tells the story briefly, and a lot of brothers bring it out, but hopefully this will bring some clarity to it. This chapter right here, this verse, Second Ezra 13 and 39. This is the multitude. All right, it goes with Revelation 7. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king. And that's very important. That always stuck out to me when I first read it. You got to divide these people up. Hosea the king is talking about the king of Israel. All right. All right. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he was an Ephraimite. All right. And they were the ones that led the 12 tribes over here to the Americas around the 3rd century AD. All right, it didn't happen immediately. Us coming over here to the Americas. 70 AD, you had a lot of the Northern Kingdom still, even within the Roman Empire. All right. Now, after the diaspora, 70 AD, where we got dispersed, scattered, and ran out of Jerusalem around the 1400s. That's when you have what the Atlantic slave trade, right? You also have the trans-Saharan slave trade with the Arabs, and they scattered our people. All right. But there was a time when the Ephraimite tribe was the tribe that led the rest of the Northern Kingdom over here to what you would call the Americas. And you get things written like the Los Lunas Stone and such. All right, in New Mexico. All right. So now, where was I at? Uh, Second Ezra 13 and 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, right? Whom Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. So we went into the land of Nineveh. All right. And that was Salmanassar right there, not Ebenezer and the Messer. That's what it says in Tobit verse 2. But his real name is Salmanassar the fifth. All right. So this goes hand in hand with 2nd Ezra 13. All right, 40. But that was Salmanassar the fifth, and he led Hosea the king away captive first in 723. And then he came back in 722 and took the rest of the northern kingdom and exported them out of that land because they were being wicked, worshiping idols. All right. So now after that happened, when they came into another land, years later, this happened. 2nd Ezra 13 and 41. But they took this counsel among themselves, and this didn't happen immediately, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen. All right. Because later on, you still had us going to Babylon, and you had Cyrus the Great call a lot of Israel back to the land of Israel. All right, there's a lot that happened in between that. And then later, that's when they started making their way over here. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. And that's talking about America. All right. That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates. Everybody know about that. All right. I think they call it down the middle passage. I could be wrong, but I could pull it up. And they say it's a lot of sharks and stuff that follows that path to this day. All right. But the Lord did this. He showed miracles. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Arsareth. All right. And now I think Arsareth just means uh, another land, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look it up again. But I think it means another land. All right, Arsareth. And that's just another term for America, which was called the New World at that time. All right. So it says, what? Then dwelt they there until the latter time. They still here till this day. And now when they shall begin to come, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace. All right. So now, all right, this is 2 Kings 17 and 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. All right, he was an Ephraimite, and he was reigning over Israel, but he was being wicked, and he ruled from 732 all the way to 722 or 723. So like when he was taken. All right before the rest of Israel was exiled in 722. So in 723, you count back 9 years, it takes you to 732. That's when he started ruling. All right. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him, right? Because they were all worshiping different idols. A lot of Ephraim, they were worshiping the idols of Jezebel and of the Syrians, Elam. But this guy was worshiping idols of the Assyrians, and doing all kind of wicked acts. All right. Against him came up Salmanasseh, king of Assyria. All right. That's goes hand in hand with Tobit, chapter 1, and the Messer. All right. Against him came up Shalmaneser, the fifth king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. Right. So he paid taxes unto him. All right, to keep him from going to war. And because the dominant kingdom at that time was the Assyrian Empire, just like America is today. All right, or the Roman Empire, you should say. But now he paid. We what? All right. At that time, we were our nation was still ruling, but they were lesser. They were a lesser kingdom than the Assyrian Empire. All right. But check this out: we were made subject to payments, just like we are today. When our people become wicked, we get put in bondage, and we get subject to payments. To these more powerful countries that the Lord raised up over us. Baruch 3:8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity. We where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from Yahweh our power. All right. See, that's why we look into the scriptures and the ways of old, and we see that we're supposed to turn back to the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and these things would be removed from us. The curses in Deuteronomy 28. 2 Kings 17 and here we go. 3. And against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria. That's Shalmaneser the fifth. All right. And Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. So that was around 725. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt. All right. So this guy is So. His name is Osorkin. Osorkin. All right. Osorkin, King Osorkin. Osorkon. All right. Osorkin the fifth. All right. Or the fourth. His name was Osorkin the fourth of the 22nd dynasty. Now this guy, um, uh, he was the ruler over Egypt at that time. All right, and they call him the So, king of Egypt. But his name was Osorkin. That's the one you want. All right, king of Egypt, and he ruled from around 730 to 715 BC. Right around the time of our the siege against Israel, 725. So the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea the Ephraimite, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria. All right, so he was trying to make deals with the king of Egypt. Hosea was trying to make deals with the king of Egypt, so he wouldn't, so he can be at league against the king of Assyria, Salmanasseh. But Salmanasseh found out, and that's when the Lord uh, had everything happen, man, because the Lord loved controversy. If somebody wicked, especially a ruler in our nation, or no, somebody being wicked in our nation, the Lord bring judgment. All right. The king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. See, that happened in 723. All right, so he came against us and besieged us and tried to get our people to pay more taxes and tribute to them, but they didn't want to pay. So they took Hosea captive around 723, and then they took Israel captive because they tried to get Israel to pay it, the rest of the northern kingdom, and they wouldn't do it. So they went. That's when they besieged the northern kingdom and deported us to Nineveh. All right, 722. That's when it started. And then Sargon II took over. All right. That's why if you look in history, it'll say Sargon II, he deported us. But really it was Salmanassar V, and he just, in the midst of his deportation and coming against us, all the way up until 722, that's when he died, and then Sargon II took over. All right, and finished the deal all the way until 720, and we was out of there. It was a wrap. It was a wrap for the Northern Kingdom, I mean. All right. So it says this. So they bound Hosea, the Ephraimite, they bound him in the prison around 723. All right. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. All right. So it was really around 724, and he besieged it for 3 years, all the way until 722. All right. So now in the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria. So in that 9th year, that's when he took Samaria. All right. So he came up in the 9th year, 723, and 722, it was a done deal. All right. And carried Israel away into Assyria. So he already took Hoshea, the king. Now he took Israel, the northern tribe, and placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes, man. And that was, I think it was like 30,000 people that he exiled. 30,000 people. For so approximately, they don't have the accurate number, but yeah. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh their power, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from the from other from under the hands of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had fear of other gods, man. So our people started worshiping other idols. Worshiping idols. They had walked in the statues of the heathens, whom Yahweh cast out from before the children of Israel. The kings of Israel, which they had made. Man. All right, so let's get back to the story. All right. Now, um, here you go. This is back in Tobit, chapter 1, verse 2. It says, who in the time of Salmon, it says Enemesser, but we know who that is now, right? Salmanassar V, king of the Assyrians, was led captive out of Thisbe. See that? Which is at the right hand of that city. So that's where Tobit was at. All right, we heard about where Hosea was taken from, but Tobit was taken with all of them. All right, but Tobit actually witnessed miracles, and at the time when Sennacherib went up, um, put a hit out on Tobit, the Lord put a hit out on Sennacherib. All right, after he besieged uh, Jerusalem and Lachish. All right. Came up against Lachish. He took Lachish, and then he failed to take Jerusalem in 701 BC. And then by the time of 681, the Lord had his own two children come up against Sennacherib and kill him. After he was asleep, and he woke up and saw angels. Saw his army killed. All right, he went back to Nineveh in 681. His own two children killed him. I'm gonna get into that story too, Yahweh Ratazah. How long? Where am I? 25 minutes. We good. Let's get it. Just want to show how it all came together and how the Lord is omnipotent, man, working all these stories at once and bringing them together. Ultimately delivering Tobit and delivering Jerusalem from Sennacherib. All right, so the Lord sent the angel to kill 380,000 of his troops, if I'm not mistaken. So let's get into it. Tobit 1 and 3. I, Tobit, have walked all the days of my life in the ways of truth and justice, and I did many alms deeds to my brethren and my nation who came with me to Nineveh in the land of the Assyrians. Make more sense now, right? And when I was in mine own country in the land of Israel, being but young, all the tribe of Naphtali, my father, fell from the house of Jerusalem, man, which was chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, that all the tribes should sacrifice there, where the temple of the habitation of the Most High was consecrated and built for all ages. So they fell away, right? Started worshiping idols. Now all the tribes which together revolted in the house of my father Naphtali, they sacrificed unto the heifer Baal, man. That's what our people were doing, and 2/3 of our people are still doing that today, man. All right, they Catholicism and they Santa Maria, whatever you call it, Santeria, are these paganized beliefs, you know. Uh, verse 6, because Baal is another way of saying Jesus. Same thing, Zeus. All right, same thing. And today, all you see are uh, the beads that they be wearing, the crosses and all that. You know, whatever. 2/3 of our people. You know how they do. Verse 6. But I alone went often to Jerusalem at the feast, as it was ordained unto all the people of Israel by an everlasting decree, having the first fruits. All right, so it's the feast of first fruits, which is right before Pentecost, and tenths of increase. So it's a little bit after spring. All right, after the Passover, after the feast of unleavened bread, with that which was first shorn, and them gave I at the altar to the priest, to the children of Aaron. All right, that was the Levites at that time. Verse 7. The first tenth part of all increase I gave to the sons of Aaron, who ministered at Jerusalem. Another tenth part I sold away and went and spent it every year at Jerusalem. And the third I gave unto them to whom it was meet. Right, that's like spending money amongst our people, community. Right, as Deborah, Deborah, my father's mother, had commanded me, because I was left an orphan by my father. Furthermore, when I was come to the age of a man, I married Anna of mine own kindred, and of her I begat Tobias. All right, that was his son named Tobias. And when we were carried away native captives to Nineveh, all my brethren and all those that were of my kindred did eat of the bread of the Gentiles. Man, they started eating the pagan foods just like they do in this society: shrimp, crab, lobster, pork. And also bread can mean spiritually. Eating their false doctrines and their philosophies, man. All right. Now, but just like in Babylon, Daniel didn't want to eat the pork and all that. Probably, man. That's what it was. The abominable foods. Instead, he ate pulse, which was the herbs at that time, the seeds, and they were healthy. All right. So our people had laws, but even to this day, they cast him to the side. But I kept myself from eating, man. So Tobit kept himself, man. That's what we got to do. We got to keep ourselves. People can say what they want, but we just have to keep ourselves. Because I remembered Yahweh with all my heart. And the Most High gave me grace, which is like understanding, and favor, which is anointing, man. All right? To be blessed. Before and the Messer, man. Before Simon Asher the fifth. And that's what the Lord going to do to those that are keeping themselves today. He's going to give you grace and favor. He's giving us grace. He's going to give us favor, man, in the time of judgment. All right. It says, so that I was his purveyor. All right. Now, all right. So he was like a trader, man, a person that trades goods. A purveyor is a person who sells or deals in particular goods. All right. So he had particular goods that he would deal, buy and trade with Salmanassar the fifth. So the Lord put him in his good graces with the Assyrian Empire. See, the Lord he knows how to what? This is 2 Peter 2:9. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, man, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. All right, so this is more proof that the Lord knows how to deliver the godly, out of trials, man. Now it says, Sirach 2:10. Look at the generations of old. See, look at the time of Tobit, the 7th century BC. Did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him, man? And as we see, man, for the Lord is full of compassion and mercy and long suffering and very pitiful and forgiveth sins. And he will save in time of affliction. All right, so Tobit, he kept himself. This is Tobit chapter 1, verse 11. But I kept myself from eating, man. Keep yourself from getting the chip, all these different things, man. Eating pork, shrimp, lobster, crab, all these things of Egypt, Babylon. Because I remembered Yahweh with all my heart, with all your mind, all your spirit. And the Most High gave me grace and favor before Enemessar, which would be Salmanassar the fifth, so that I was his purveyor, so he was his trading partner. And I went into Media and left in trust with Gabriel, the brother of Gabarias at Regis, a city of Media, 10 talents of silver. All right, so he left. It was like left a trust with him. That was like a banking system right there. All right, or savings, a trust fund. So they really got that from us. Verse 12. Now, when Enemessar, Salmanassar the fifth, was dead, all right. Now he died around 722. Right now they're gonna skip the story. Um, they're not gonna talk about Sargon II right here. Now they're skipping the story all the way. Um, Now, when Enemessar was dead, so he died in 722, approximately. And then his son Sargon II took over from 722 all the way to 705. All right. And then you have from 705, that's when you have Sennacherib. All right, 705. And he came up against Hezekiah in 701 BC. All right. So you get Sennacherib around 705 all the way until 681. That's when you get his son that he had from Nakoya, which was um, a woman of most likely our nation or a nation of the Arameans, all right, or Ishmael. But I believe she was an Israelite, Nakoya. She married Sennacherib. He took her captive, her nation, and took her as his wife, one of his concubines. But he had a child by her named Esarhaddon, and he gave the kingdom to Esarhaddon. And his 2 sons were jealous of him, and they killed him. And the Lord made that happen, right, as a judgment. They killed him while he was worshiping his idol, and the idol fell on top of him. All right, the same Sennacherib that was coming up against Israel, the Lord sent angels to fray them, chase them away. And he also he delivered Tobit, all right, and Hezekiah that prayed to him. So, the Lord knows how to deliver us, man. So let's keep reading. Now when Salmanassar was dead, so he died 722. Sennacherib, his son, reigned in his stead. So they skipped Sargon, all right? The second, they going straight to Sennacherib. Okay, 705. Whose estate was troubled that I could not go into Media. And in the time of Enemessar, I gave my many alms to my brethren, and gave my bread to the hungry, and because he was wealthy, all right, and my clothes to the naked, and you don't find Jake like that today. That's with the government, and they get all these subsidies and different, hookups. They won't pass it down to their people or these people that's in the celebrities, you know. Instead, they're flaunting in their face. It says, "And my clothes to the naked, and if I saw any of my nation dead or cast about the walls of Nineveh, I buried him, man." And now we don't know who our nation is now, man. You ask them who they are, they say they're African. All right, so spiritually, they're not in their right state of mind. So who the Lord said, "Who is my mother? Who is my brother and sister?" Those are those that do the will of Yahweh. Those are the ones we need to worry about. And if the king Sennacherib has slain any, all right, um, if he had slain any, so he was just killing our people, man. And it was a judgment on our people, though. All right, so just like today, and if the king Sennacherib has slain any when he was come and fled from Judea, I buried them privily. So Tobit would go around burying the bodies. For in his wrath he killed them. He killed many, but the bodies were not found when they were sought for of the king. So he came back to show off the bodies, the dead bodies. Sennacherib would come back to show off the dead bodies, this Assyrian, and he would, when they get there, they wouldn't see the bodies, right? And when one of the Ninevites went and complained, so it was one of those heathens, most likely the Assyrians, complained of me to the king that I buried them and hid myself. Understanding that I was sought for to be put to death, I withdrew myself for fear. So he started hiding. He went into hiding, man. Tobit, because Sennacherib wanted to kill him. But at that same time, well, before that, the Lord was judging Sennacherib, man, 701 BC, when he first, right at the uh, 4 years after he took office. All right, let's get that real quick, and then we get back to the story. All right, this is 2 Kings 18. Now, in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, all right, because King Hezekiah started ruling around 715 BC. So the 14th year would be 701. All right. So in the 14th year of King Hezekiah did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, whom we're reading about in the book of Tobit. See how they go hand in hand? All right. The king of Assyria come up against the fenced cities of Judah and took them. All right. So he took Lachish, which a lot of Benjamites were there. All right. A lot of Judites. And Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent to the king of Assyria to Lachish, saying, I have offended. Return from me. That which thou puttest on me will I bear. All right, because I think Hezekiah didn't want to pay taxes to him, pay tribute to him. All right. And he said, all right, I'll pay it. What's up? What you need me to pay? And the king of Assyria appointed unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. So he said, you got to pay this 300 talents of silver. That's a lot. And 30 talents of gold. And Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of the Lord and in the treasures of the king's house, man. At that time, that wasn't even enough. They still wanted more. At that time, did Hezekiah, verse 16. At that time, did Hezekiah cut off the gold from the doors of the temple of Yahweh and from the pillars which Hezekiah, king of Judah, had overlaid and gave it to the king of Assyria. And the king of Assyria sent Tartan and Rabsaris and Rabshakeh from Lachish to Hezekiah with a great host against Jerusalem. So they had already taken down Lachish, and now they were coming up against Jerusalem. And they went up and came to Jerusalem, and when they were come up, they came and stood by the conduit of the upper pool. Now, if you understand that, I did a lesson that shows you exactly where the real temple is located at. All right, in Jerusalem, not where they say it is today. Where the fake Jews are at today, that they call the temple, it was actually once a mosque. It was actually called the Tower of Antonia. All right, which was built also by Herod. All right, laying siege against Israel. So now it says this: they stood by the conduit of the upper pool, and that's where you find it's called the pool. What is it called? The pool of Shalom. And then you have Hezekiah's tunnel. All right, that's what this is talking about, where he wrote the tunnel inscription at. It says, which is in the highways of the fuller's field. And when they had called to the king, they came out to them, Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, which is over the household, and Shebna, the scribe, and Joah, the son of Asaph, the recorder. And Rabshakeh said unto them, speak ye now to Hezekiah, thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria, Sennacherib. What confidence is this wherein thou trustest? See, we have confidence in Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, but he was trying to deceive our people, using the art of skullduggery, throw our people off, their mind tricks, right? Thou sayest, but they are but vain words. I have counsel and strength for war. Now on whom doest thou trust, that thou rebellest against me? Just like Esau, man. And he's like, yo, who do you trust in that you're gonna come up against them, against the beast? We trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. All right, and in his angels, under his wings, under his protection. Psalms 91. All right, verse 21. It says, now, behold, thou trustest upon the staff of this bruised reed, even upon Egypt, right? Sennacherib was saying, yo, you trusting in uh, uh, the king of Egypt, but he can't protect you. Look what we did to him. Look what the Assyrians did to him. Look what the Assyrians did to the Syrians, the King Hazael. Now behold, thou trustest upon the staff of this bruised reed, all right, this broken nation, even upon Egypt, all right, and they were protected by populous no. I did a lesson on that, and they fell under Taharqua in 664 BC, all right. Um, Now it says, on which if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, unto all that trust on him, man. I mean, he'll turn on you. You trusting on him, he just like the Syrians. But if and he did turn on him, he turned on uh, Sorkin, king So of Egypt at that time. He turned on the Israelites, man. But if ye say unto me, we trust in the Lord Yahweh, our power, is not that he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah have taken away? And that's something. Tricked him into doing it, pressed him for the gold. And Hezekiah took the gold off the door post. And he's like, yo, y'all gonna trust him? And he did that? Wow. But if ye say unto me, we trust in the Yahweh our power, is not that he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah have taken away, and have said to Judah and Jerusalem, ye shall worship before this altar in Jerusalem? Now therefore I pray thee, that way you can't let the devil deceive you, man. All right. That same spiritual demon Satan that was trying to deceive Yahweh Shai is that same spirit speaking through these damn heathens right here, man. Now therefore I pray thee, give pledges to my lord, the king of Assyria, and I will deliver thee 2,000 horses, if thou be able on thy part to set riders upon them. How then wilt thou turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put thy trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen, saying, hey, y'all need to do business with us. Get down and lay down, basically, and don't deal with Egypt. All right, that's what America doing. They setting sanctions on people, saying you can't deal with Iran and all that. Same thing, man. Nothing new under the sun. Am I now come up without Yahweh against this place to destroy it? He said, the Lord said to me, go up against this land and destroy it. Then said Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, and this now mind you, this is Sennacherib sending messengers to say this, man. All right, just like Esau, man, with their Christianity, you know, colonizers. Speak, I pray thee, to thy servants in the Syrian language. All right. Then said Eliakim to the son of Hilkiah and Shibna and Joah unto Rabshakeh, speak, I pray thee, to thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and talk not with us in the Jews' language, in the ears of the people that are on the wall. Now, if you look up the pool, the tunnel inscription of Hezekiah, you'll see that it's Lashawan Kodash, the Paleo Hebrew, or Proto Hebrew, I like to say, meaning the first Hebrew. Paleo just means ancient, and it was called ancient by Tiglath-Pileser II, I think. He coined it as such, calling it ancient. All right. He called it, he dubbed the Sumerian language and called it um, Aramaic. All right. The Aramaic. Today is what they call Aramaic. You know, paying homage to Aram. And these were the people that were setting the foundation for that language again. They made that the national language in their empire, the Aramaic language. You know, Akkadian scripts. That's what it was called. It was called Sumerian script, and then it was called the Akkadian script. Then it was changed to the Aramaic. Ours was changed from Proto-Hebrew, meaning the first Hebrew, or Lashon Kodash, to Paleo-Hebrew, which is called Ancient Hebrew. All right, and then later on it was changed to Phoenician Hebrew, paying homage to the Phoenician, the people of the Levant, which it shouldn't say that. It should be called Ancient Hebrew or uh, Proto-Hebrew, meaning first, or Lashon Kodash, all right, meaning holy tongue. So he was saying right here that we have different languages, man. That the Hebrew spoke the true language, which is on the tunnel inscription of Hezekiah, the Jews' language. All right, it's different from the Syrian script, where they say Yod Hey Wah Hey and all that backwards gibberish. The father's name is Yahweh in the Jews' language. All right, his son name is Yahweh Shai. All right, so now, but Rabshakeh said unto them, Has my master sent me to thy master and to thee to speak these words? Has he not sent me to the men which sit on the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice into the Jews' language, in the Jews' language, and spake, saying, Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. So he was speaking in Hebrew. Thus saith the king, let not Hezekiah deceive you. So he, is demonizing our people. All right, lying on them. For he shall not be able to deliver you out of his hand. Neither let Hezekiah make you trust in Yahweh, saying, Yahweh will surely deliver us, and this city shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. Hearken not to Hezekiah. That's what our people saying today. They walk around, they don't listen to them. Lord can't deliver you. His name is Yahweh. For thus saith the king of Assyria, make an agreement with me by a present, and come out to me, and then eat ye every man his own vine, and every one his own fig, and drink ye every one the waters of his cistern. That's just like Revelation 13 and 16. That's it, that hour of temptation. Until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of corn and wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of oil and olive and of honey, that ye may live and not die. Sound like the devil in the garden, right? The serpent in the garden. Like, yo, you ain't gonna die. You live forever. Hey, man. Say to the Most High belongeth the issues of death, man. He's the one that keep us alive. Man shall not live off bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Father. You know, he gives us our daily bread. And hearken not unto Hezekiah when he persuadeth you, saying, Yahweh will deliver us. It'd be a fool to do that. Have, to not hearken to Hezekiah, man. The prophets, the king, he was a king, but today it'd be like the prophets, man. Have any of the gods of the nations delivered at all his land out of the hand of the king of Assyria? All right, so like, where are the gods of Hamath and of Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim, Henna, and Ivah? Have they delivered Samaria out of my hand? They were false gods, that's why. All right, that's the proof. Um, Verse 35. Who are they among all the gods of the countries that have delivered their country out of my hand? That Yahweh should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand. So, basically challenging the Most High, which is a stupid mistake. Stupid thing to do. But the people held their peace and answered him not a word. For the king's commandment was, saying, Answer him not. Then came Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, which was over the house, and Shebna the scribe, and Joanna, the son of Asaph, the recorder, to Hezekiah with their clothes rent, and told him the words of Rabshakeh. And it came to pass, all right, I think this is the point. Let me get to the point. All right, I'm going to read this to get to the point. If you want to read get more understanding on the story, start from the beginning of really 17, 2 Kings 17, go to 18, and then go to 19. All right. But I'm going to get to the point because I'm at 53 minutes already. 2 Kings 19 and 32. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh concerning the king of Assyria, talking about Sennacherib. He shall see, he was destroying him right after he put that hit out on Tobit as well. All right. But this was around 701. But in 681, that's when he died. All right. Therefore, um, thus saith Yahweh concerning the king of Assyria. He shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, right? Because he came up against Yahweh, man. He was talking shit, talking trash, excuse my language. Nor come before it with shield, nor cast a bank against it, right? Because the Lord gonna lift up a standard against them. That's how you gonna do against Esau. All right. Hezekiah prayed to Yahweh, man. The Lord heard him, and his prayer entered into his ears. That's what it says in this chapter. By the way that he came, by the same shall he return, and shall not come into this city, saith Yahweh. For I will defend this city to save it for my own sake and for my servant David's sake. All right. And it came to pass that night that the angel of Yahweh went out and smote, right? Because Hezekiah was keeping it. He was righteous, you know. He wasn't like King Hoshea. He was righteous like David. It says that in the scriptures. And it came to pass that he was a so-called Negro of the tribe of Judah. All right. It came to pass that night that the angel of Yahweh went out and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000, man. All right. And fourscore is 80. So 180,000. That's what it was. So he killed 180,000 of Sennacherib's army in the middle of the night. The Lord sent the angel. And, he sent another angel to deal with Tobit's son around that time, man. That's how the Lord deals with us, yo. Sending angels to intervene. And smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. And when they arose in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh. See that? So after that, he returned and he still lived his life in Nineveh. All right, so he didn't come up against Jerusalem no more. But 681 BC, this happened. And it came to pass, as he was worshiping in the house of Nishraj, his god, his idol, that Adremelech and Sharezer, his sons, smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Armenia, and Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead. See, that's why they killed him, because they were jealous over Esarhaddon. All right, so now I'm going to bring this to a closure. This is Tobit, chapter 1, verse 20. Then all my goods were forcibly taken away, neither was there anything left me, because besides my wife Anna and my son Tobit. All right. Let me get back to the point, verse 19. And when one of the Ninevites went and complained of me to the king that I buried them, remember Tobit was burying the bodies of our people. The Sennacherib was a devil, man. All right. And hid myself, understanding that I was sought for to be put to death. I withdrew myself for fear, just like we may have to do when when destruction comes, man. When all hell breaks loose. Because in a way, we're doing that. We're burying our people, putting them to rest, in a sense, spiritually. All right, helping them to find the rest with Yahushua. And they're going to persecute us the same way. The Lord going to deliver his elect. Verse 20, then all my goods were forcibly taken away. See, right? All his goods were forcibly taken away. Neither was there anything left me besides my wife, Anna, and my son, Tobias. And there passed not 50 days. So it was almost like a month. 55 days. So like a month and some days, right? 2 weeks or so. Or 4 weeks. Almost like 2 months. All right. So that passed before two of his sons killed him, who we just read about Sennacherib. His two sons killed him in 681 BC. All right. So this freed up Tobit. So the situation with Tobias could happen. All right. And they fled so his two sons killed him over their jealousy over Esarhaddon, his son from the captive woman. And they fled into the mountains of Ararat. And Sarchedonus, his son, reigned in his stead. See, Sarchedonus is a Greek way of saying Esarhaddon. All right, who appointed over his father's accounts and over all his affairs Achiacarus, my brother Nael's son. So it brought him back to being safe again. All right, so through that the Lord delivered Tobit. All right, and this all happened during the time of the Feast of First Fruits, going into the Pentecost within those 50 days. All right, so with that, man, I'm gonna end it and get a scripture to end it with. All right, Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. All right, in the east, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him.